What's up, Cowboys Nation? Welcome back to another video. This is your pregame prediction video for Week 5's matchup between the Dallas Cowboys and the Los Angeles Rams. Let's go ahead and jump on in.
Down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.
The Dallas Cowboys are currently sitting at 3-1, and the Los Angeles Rams are coming off a tough loss, and they're sitting at 2-2. Obviously, high expectations for them being the Super Bowl champs and whatnot, but right now they're sitting at 500, and they have a home game, quotations around home game here against the Dallas Cowboys on Fox. And I say home game because, you know, last year we played the Los Angeles Chargers there at SoFi, and you could hear it. Cowboys Nation, you guys showed up at that game, and so I definitely expect there to be some noise for the Cowboys in LA at SoFi. And even though, you know, and we saw that too, even when SoFi wasn't built yet, when we had that divisional game in the playoffs in LA, Cowboy fans still showed up. It was pretty equal at that point. But other than that, you know, like I said, tough game coming up here for both teams. Both teams are really looking for something to prove here in both of these, in this matchup here. And, you know, the Rams, they would hate to start 2-3, and for the Cowboys, they want to keep this momentum going as much as they can. You call it luck, you call it skill, good coaching, good matchups between their opponents. The Cowboys want to do anything they can to keep this momentum rolling going until Dak comes back, and especially these 2 weeks. And I've been talking about these next 2 weeks here for a long time on this channel. These 2 weeks are so important for this football team. I'm really glad we got the win against the Bengals. I'm really glad we got the back-to-back wins in our division, because that's going to keep us into any kind of playoff race, whether it includes the NFC East or whether it just includes the wild card spot. But these 2 games right here are very important because, you know, despite the Rams being 2-2 and still having a lot of question marks, especially with their offensive line, they're the type of team that can just pop up out of nowhere and keep it rolling. I mean, you still have Matthew Stafford at the end of the day as your quarterback, and you still have a really creative offensive coach like Sean McVay still coaching the team, and you still got Aaron Donald, Bobby Wagner, Jalen Ramsey. So they're still a really good team, and they can win games. And I mean, they're 2-2, you know, and we shouldn't be talking about them like they're 1-3 or 0-4. They're not that at all. They're 2-2. They're in a good place at the start of the season to figure things out and take that step forward and become a better team. And so let's go and jump right into this. It's going to be a really interesting matchup here, because when I look at the schedule a couple weeks ago, it did scare me a little bit. It did intimidate me more than it should have. But after seeing how the Cowboys have survived, how their coaching has thrived here in the past couple of weeks, here in the past several weeks, I feel a lot more confident in this game. And I really feel like this game's going to be a dogfight, guys. Like, it's really going to be one in the trenches. And normally when you see a matchup between the Cowboys and the Rams, whether it was last time in 2020 where we had the season opener at SoFi Stadium, and it was just an air fest between the two teams, this one I really feel is going to be grounded. I really feel like both teams are going to struggle to pass the ball and move the chains in that way. And it's really going to be, in a weird sense, it's going to be a little bit like last week. The matchup against the Washington Commanders, where both teams, at one point, it was a stalemate in the third quarter, where both teams were still trying to find their footing, but also just take off with the game. And I think the team, again, here that's going to be able to do that successfully and win that battle in the trenches, and win it with their running game. The first one to establish their running game late in the game is probably going to run away with this game. And so my first thing I want to cover here is, can the Cowboys get pressure? This is probably one of the more highlighted matchups, just because the Rams have allowed 16 sacks in their past 4 games. So kind of similar to what we saw with the Washington Commanders last week, where their offensive line was allowing a lot of pressure on their quarterback as well as sacks. The Cowboys came in, took control of the game later in the game, and they were able to establish their tempo defensively and take control of the game. Now, the biggest difference here is Carson Wentz and Matthew Stafford. In my opinion, Matthew Stafford is a better quarterback than Carson Wentz. So I feel like the Cowboys, and I talked about this in my post-game reaction video, that the Cowboys got away with a lot of things, not so that they were dominant in that matchup or those particular matchups, but because they were facing a team that was not as talented as, say, another team, and in this case, the Los Angeles Rams. So a guy like Matthew Stafford, he's not going to miss wide open throws. He's not going to overthrow. He's not going to underthrow. Matthew Stafford can step into the pocket, evade pressure, extend the play, and hit his receivers. That's something that Carson Wentz can't do, or at least consistently. And so things that we have gotten away with the past couple of weeks with Daniel Jones and Carson Wentz, don't expect that same thing. And that's also what that this game is a game of inches. The game of football is a game of inches. And that's one of the things where I'm looking at coming into this matchup, where it's really going to be that. Usually some of the things that we're used to letting go because, we're playing Daniel Jones or Carson Wentz, well, it's not going to fly this time against Matthew Stafford. Matthew Stafford has been in this situation before, and he's a better quality quarterback than the last two people that we played. But with the Rams' depleted offensive line, the Cowboys can definitely get to Matthew Stafford. No doubt, they can definitely enforce their will on this offensive line. Just in the same way like the San Francisco 49ers did last week, the Cowboys can do exactly that. The way Bosa had a big game last week, Micah Parsons can have it this week. So a lot is looking on the Rams to answer those questions, more or less the Cowboys enforcing the will, because the Rams have a lot more question marks because we know our defensive line is going to show up. But what are they going to do to better protect Matthew Stafford? Because every time he was backing up when he was playing the 49ers, it just seemed a hand was his face. He was going down, didn't have enough time to even give it to that number one receiver, Cooper Kupp. So that's my first thing there is, can the Cowboys get enough pressure? If it's my prediction here, I do expect the Cowboys to get enough pressure, but I also see it on the other side too. I feel like they're going to get pressure on Cooper Rush, and Cooper Rush is really going to have a really good opportunity here to play a really good defense. Again, Cooper Rush and this offense got away with a lot of things playing the Giants and playing the Commanders. But now when you're playing a proven defense with added pieces, not only do you have to handle Aaron Donald now because he's going to disrupt your run game, he's going to disrupt the amount of time that you have in the pocket, but now you got a Jalen Ramsey matchup, and so that's going to take part of the field away from you when you're looking, and so now you got to look at Michael Gallup, Noah Brown, Simi Fehoko, you got to look at those receivers, as well as now you have the added piece with Bobby Wagner in the middle, spying on everything right there. So it's going to be a tremendous challenge for this offense, not only Cooper Rush, but obviously the offensive line, but also Kellen Moore. Kellen Moore really has to come at this game very smart. And he has to have a couple of things up his sleeve to get a first down, to cheat a first down, to get things moving. And so my prediction, before we kind of go deep dive into the offense a little bit, let's finish up on the defense side of things, is my prediction is I think the Cowboys, this is going to be the first time that they let up over 20 points, which is okay. I think that's to be expected. That's okay. I think it's going to be the first time that they're going to let up on 20 points because they haven't let an opponent, score more than 20 points in their first couple of games. However, and I think this is probably my boldest prediction, right? I think the Cowboys can get 4 sacks. 4 sacks total, and I think they even get 1 interception. I'm not going to be so confident to say it's a Trayvon Diggs interception, but I think the Cowboys do pick off Matthew Stafford. And you look at the stats, he's thrown more interceptions than touchdowns to start the season. And so just with the fact of, I don't think their offense is going to come in here and completely shut out our defense. That's not at all. It's going to be a competitive game. It's going to go back and forth. This game is going to go down to the wire. And so now to talk back into the offense, the Cowboys can win this game if they're able to establish their game of football. You look at the past 3 games, it's obvious that there is a formula that the Cowboys have put together. At any time that they've been thrown off that formula, that's the time that they've adjusted. But the Cowboys have a strong formula here. It's running the ball. And when the game plan allows it, is allowing Cooper Rush to conveniently throw effective passes to get the first down. And he's been great at that. When they've called his number on 3rd and down to do something, to throw the ball into this tight window, to get the ball to CeeDee Lamb, Cooper Rush has answered the call. And so the running between Zeke and Pollard is going to be a huge thing. The Cowboys struggle to get that running game going against the Commanders. And that's why I said I think a lot of people are going to look at this game and say, well, it's going to be a lot like the Cincinnati Bengals matchup. No, I actually think it's going to be a lot like the Washington Commanders matchup. As weird as that sounds, I think the Commanders really gave us a glimpse into what this game's going to be like and how their offense works. It is very similar to how the Los Angeles Rams offense works. And so the Cowboys, again, they struggled to get that running game going in the third quarter, but they found a way. But the reason why they found a way wasn't really based on their creativity or their smarts or their talent, more or less. It was because it's the Washington Commanders. It's because of who was covering CeeDee Lamb, who was covering Michael Gallup. The Cowboys got away with that. It's not going to be so convenient for them to get away with it this week playing the Los Angeles Rams. So me personally, I'm just really interested to see that go down and see our team rise up to the challenge, because this is a big game. You got to play better than you did the past 2 weeks. And not to say that they played poor or anything. I mean, they won 2 games. They're on a 3-game winning streak. But they have to play their best football on Sunday for a chance to win this game. Notice how I phrase that. Because their best football may not be enough, and that's just because they have Cooper Rush at quarterback. The Rams, and 2 things. The Rams are a good team, and they're still just trying to figure things out. And then number 2 is, in my history of being a Cowboys fan, I have learned one thing. If the opposing team is in some kind of funk, if they are out of rhythm, the best thing that sometimes those teams can do is visit the Dallas Cowboys and play them. And when they play the Cowboys, they get back. I mean, I've seen it. I remember the Detroit Lions with Matthew Stafford and Calvin Johnson. They were struggling most of the season. They came and they got the rhythm back against the Lions and against the Cowboys. We saw it last year with the Arizona Cardinals. They were on a 4-game losing streak, and then they just happened to play the Cowboys, and now they win, and now they got the rhythm back. So that's just kind of the unbiased, realistic side of me, where if a team is struggling, you probably want to play the Cowboys. Just like his Cowboys showed a weakness this past week, and it's what happens when you play a good defensive line. Because not only can the defensive line disrupt what you're doing in the running game, but it can really disrupt what you're trying to do in the passing game. And one thing I've noticed, and I said this in my post-game reaction video, is for those that believe Cooper Rush should be the starting quarterback even when Dak Prescott is healthy, pay attention to how Cooper Rush was in the pocket and how he responded to pressure. To me, it comes down to this. The way Dak Prescott throws against the pressure is incredible. The way he steps into a throw, the way he can deliver a ball under pressure with a defensive tackle, defensive end breathing down his neck, hand in his face. Dak Prescott is almost perfect throwing against the pressure. However, what I've seen in the past couple of weeks with Cooper Rush, which makes him a backup quarterback, is his lack of confidence against the pressure. You look at any pressure, any hand that was in his face last Sunday, he never stepped into it. He would throw off that back foot, and the ball loses power when you're throwing off your back foot. So I'm hoping maybe Cooper Rush just changes that and he's able to step up and step into the pressure, move around in the pocket, step into the throw, rather than if someone's in your face, let me just try to get rid of it, but I'm also simultaneously throwing off my back foot. So my prediction here is that the Cowboys are going to put up some points. I think this is almost going to be a shootout, to be honest. I don't think it's going to go 30s or 40s, but these two teams are going to perform offensively. I do think Cooper Rush is going to throw an interception. That's my official prediction for the offense. I think Cooper Rush has been a very, very lucky man. He got away with a lot of throws against the Bengals, and he got away with 2 interceptions against the Washington Commanders that were waved off by penalties. But I feel like Cooper Rush, his little streak, I think it ends. I think he's going to throw an interception, but that's fine. I think the Cowboys are going to come out here and put up the most points that they have all season long. I think they're going to come up here and their offense is really going to find the rhythm. I don't think they're going to get shut out. I think they're really going to throw the ball effectively. It's going to be competitive, but I do think Cooper Rush is going to throw his first interception. But lastly, I'll say this. I'm starting to believe in this team, guys. I think if you can tell by how I'm talking about the game already, I'm talking about it's going to come down to this, and the defense is going to allow 20 points for the first time, and Cooper Rush is going to throw an interception. I think it may sound like I'm about to choose the Rams. Maybe I might, but I am starting to believe in this team. And I got to be careful with that because it's still early in the season. But I like the way they came back from that embarrassing loss against Tampa Bay. I like the way they bounced back and beat the Bengals in a last-second field goal. I was impressed with the way they upset the Bengals, like I just said. I love the way that they came back in the Giants game on Monday Night Football when Saquon Barkley ran off for that big touchdown. It almost felt like all the air in the stadium left because the Cowboys knew what was about to happen, but they bounced back and Cooper Rush threw that touchdown pass to CeeDee Lamb that he caught with one hand, and we were able to seal the game. Something about this team has got me buying in. Something about this team has me believing that they are playing for each other and they're playing for their coach, who, by the way, is an early candidate for Coach of the Year. I believe wholeheartedly 100% that the Cowboys don't win the past 3 games if it was not for Mike McCarthy. I think people love to talk about Cooper Rush, but Mike McCarthy has had a strong hand in getting his team prepared, and that is something that is completely underrated. Mike, that's a whole different video. But and you know, obviously Dan Quinn and his effectiveness with the defense. But this team is finding a way to win. It may be ugly, it may be messy, but they're finding ways to win. They shouldn't have won that Bengals game. If there was 2 more minutes, we'd lose that Bengals game. The Giants game in past years, sometimes the Cowboys give up and they don't fight back, but they did. And then they took that confidence and they won the Commanders game. I believe, and this is my prediction for come Sunday, that despite what statistics may say, I believe in this team. And I think the Cowboys somehow find a way to win on Sunday. And I'm going to say something. I'm going to say 27-24. I think this game goes down to the last second. And I think Cooper Rush delivers again in a game-winning drive. It's going to be messy. There's going to be interceptions. Matthew Stafford is going to throw for a whole bunch of yards. Cooper Kupp's going to get a touchdown. Trayvon Diggs may get burned. But all that matters is that we get the win. And I think just somehow, some way, the Cowboys are going to get a win on Sunday and improve to 4-1, but also continue on a 4-game winning streak. I believe that. This team has got me believing in them, and I think it's going to continue. I believe it. And so how about you? Go to comment down below what you think about this game. What are some strengths and weaknesses? What are some things that I'm missing here in my analysis in this pregame prediction of the game? I'd love to hear it. But other than that, be sure to like and subscribe for more Cowboys content. Be sure to listen to the podcast because this will be available audio-wise on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. Be sure to follow me on TikTok. We're about to hit 10,000 over there, so that's pretty cool. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter because I tweet live during the games and especially on Sunday. But other than that, thank you guys so much for watching. I'll see you guys after the game on Sunday, and go Cowboys!
Looking down the field, Lamb, 10-5, victory! Touchdown, Ezekiel Elliott. How about the rookie Micah Parsons? What a play!
Defense wins championships, but the Super Bowl is won by the quarterback.